What are you talking about?
We never do either.
This is our budget from the station. I mean, there's 7 copies there.
Oh, so I can hand them out.
Right.
Yeah, you can talk about the station too in a little bit. You know?
From Erie Zone Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers, it's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
Whoa, we got to put the wide-angle lens on today there, DJ.
Okay.
What, are you saying something about the holidays? Did I eat too much
Well, that could
turkey?
be, after the holidays, I have to get a wider.
Yeah, we need a wider angle.
Yeah, but you want to introduce our guest, DJ?
This is Louis Prest, I believe the 4th or the 3rd?
Third.
The 3rd. Louis Prest the 3rd. He is a member of CAD as well as a board member, and I brought him along, so...
And I caught a show by accident. You get some interesting...
That's such a wonderful compliment.
Well, no, I mean, DJ, you got to put a guide out there. I mean, I found it, monkeying around with the dial. I said, there's a lot of nice things on channel.
It's on the preview guide. If you have a box, it's on the preview guide.
Yeah, but it'd be
channel guide.
I'm going to look a little bit more because there's some very interesting things on there.
For that Veterans Day show, I mentioned you in it, and because I remember back in radio days, I would open the show sometimes with the American Patrol.
Right.
And I found these 16-year-old kids from Toronto. Did you see that part?
They were good.
Yeah,
That's
they
what
were
got
really
my
awesome.
attention. Hey, we got a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Kev.
Hey, Lloyd, how you doing?
Yes, they finally took care of the bill a week ago.
Oh, because you didn't call me and I was waiting for you.
I know you were at City Council last Wednesday.
Yeah, I told you to call me. They took care of it, though?
Yeah, it's Thursday morning.
Well, that's good because he's the one that had the bill that was, they were telling me they didn't have his canceled check.
Right. He paid, but he didn't pay.
Yeah.
But he did.
It's amazing how checks get lost, even when you got a copy of one.
Even when you have a receipt, yeah.
Yeah, canceled one. So everything's okay, Lloyd?
Oh, yes. Hey, but you better let your people know. Their year, when their 1-year contract, when the day you start with cable,
Right.
and after that year, they up your cable rate.
Oh, yeah, they can do that. They mean you got a special, like?
Yeah, on your anniversary date.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, if you get a special, about a year later they'll probably up you. That's why. I mean, they all do it. Even DirecTV, they try to get you, free NFL package for 1 year, and yeah, they know they got us. The only thing you can do is you can go over to the other side, or try to renegotiate with them.
You can't negotiate with these. You don't get anybody speak English.
Oh, my.
Well, I think what they do is they hire a lot of people that speak the Queen's English.
No, the one guy told me he was from down in Jamaica somewhere.
Yeah, and they speak the Queen's English, but the problem is they're reading, a lot of times when I ask for help, they're reading the same book I'm reading, and I'm getting nowhere, so I need somebody with practical experience, to maybe tell me something that the book doesn't. Because you can follow that book all afternoon, and it just ain't going to work. But somebody that's done it before says, try this. Yeah, if you have trouble, the best thing I found was have one of their techs come in or go down to up to Zimmerman there and talk to them.
Yeah, but sometimes they only have one girl working at the front desk there.
That's true. I know, it might even get worse when they switch to the new company. Who knows,
Hey, what I want to ask you about, my property worth $65,000, Kaz. So how much is my taxes going to go up?
Well, I think you'll go up less than $80 because I think it was based on 100,000,
Right.
if I remember right. So, yeah, you'll be less than that. You'll probably be, 80, 40, probably about $50 or $60 in there somewhere.
Okay, my mortgage company raised my mortgage.
They did?
Yes.
What, did they raise the mortgage or do you pay your taxes through your mortgage company?
My mortgage company paid the taxes.
Yeah, so they're anticipating an increase.
Yeah, it went up to $600 a month.
Yeah, when they do that, sometimes they over-calculate, and you'll have a credit the following year.
Or get a rebate.
Yeah.
Or get a rebate.
Well, we haven't raised taxes yet, Lloyd. Give us a shot, but I can tell you that, we still got a couple more sessions to go yet.
Okay, I'll get off so somebody else can call.
Yeah, hey, and if you remember, if you ever have, I was looking forward to your call, but I'm glad you got it taken care of.
And I missed the Democratic Party that day.
Pardon?
You know, when they had the party on the 4th?
Yes.
I missed it.
Yeah, I did too. I haven't been at top of my game this week.
Me either. And since some of the teams I wanted to win, they lost.
What, football?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not too happy either. But then again, I can't worry about those guys. They don't worry about me, though, so.
No. Okay, Cass.
Hey, we'll see you, Lloyd.
Okay, Louis, if you got anything you want to talk
Have
about,
a good day.
start now.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll take this call.
You might be a good luck charm.
Oh, I guess not for that person.
That wasn't good.
You hang up on him?
You can call back.
He's talking about cable TV, and obviously I'm very interested in cable TV. I'm very interested in CAT TV, or CATV. And we've had a really tough year this year with the budget cuts from last year.
Yeah.
But we have put programs in place where we're trying to become more self-sufficient, and maybe I'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get you on there. Go ahead, caller.
Go ahead, I'll hang on.
Oh, you want him to? Well,
you can.
He's going to let you finish a little bit. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, when the mayor originally proposed $25,000 last year,
Yeah.
and the council was kind enough to triple that, that still cut our budget by 1/3. And most companies, if they had to go through that, they'd be closed.
Yep.
And we have had a stressful year, I'll tell you, and we've had to make some changes, some drastic changes and some new changes, and we're holding our own, but we're going to still need a little bit more support this year from council.
We'll try, but,
Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, the first thing you can do is change your videos that you have of the police car going into Arby's on 12th and Peach. But I have a few things to talk with you, Kaz.
I'm ready, John.
The triple billing, water, sewer, and refuse.
Right?
Now, these people, I read a couple letters to the editor, and a lot of people are very disturbed with the way they're doing this. But you know what they can do? And they can show that they have strength and power, too. The majority of people should go and make arrangements, and therefore they won't get the kind of money that they're anticipating once they make their payment arrangements. Make them small, but make arrangements, people. So...
Well, what do they complain about, John? I haven't got any. I'm going to be truthful with you. I haven't got one call in the last week and a half.
Well, a lot of people haven't got their bills yet.
Yeah, I just got mine recently.
Yeah. What seems to be the major complaint then?
The way they're doing it, the way they're saying they're going to take, if you have a refuse amount, they're going to take that and put that on. If you're paying your water bill, they're going to take that money from your refuse bill and apply it to it.
Wait, the way I understand it, and this way it was told to us, the water bill is separate. That's a whole different issue. Okay?
Yes.
Your water bill is between you and the water authority.
Yes.
The sewer bill and the garbage bill, the city has contracted the water authority to do their collections, okay?
True.
In the past, you were allowed to pay your sewer bill, but not pay your garbage bill.
Yes.
Per Mario Bagnoni and a few, And so we could not do anything because we had to pick up your garbage. That's a public health issue.
True.
So we're still going to have to pick up your garbage, but now we're saying...
But now there's teeth in the ordinance if you're not paying for it.
Right, if you got a garbage bill that's old...
Yeah, they'll shut your water off.
Not right away they won't. They're gonna notify you.
Well, that's a couple of weeks.
But they're going to give you a chance to come down and make a payment plan, or take care of the old bill or some. But you're not going to just sit there anymore. It's not fair to the people that pay their taxes that we have 3 million and...
That's not the people's fault that's paying their taxes. That's the administration of all the previous councils because they sat on their duffs and didn't do anything.
Right, but this council now says that, we have to put some teeth in the ordinance. So we're saying now that if you owe a garbage bill, okay, you're going to have to go down there and either set up a payment plan or take care of it.
Well,
And if you don't, you are subject to having your water turned off, because otherwise, if we don't do something like that, it just keeps growing and growing. It's not fair to you. Have you ever been late, John?
late.
Yeah.
They owe me money yet.
Well, there you go. Okay, but I'm saying, to the vast majority of people who have paid, we're not talking about the little person that has a couple of payments behind. We're talking about, we have people
This
that
was
have
about
not.
landlords, wasn't
Right,
it?
well, that was
That's the ones you're hurting, though, the little people.
well, everybody's responsible, John. The landlords are responsible to a bigger degree.
Well, true, but people
But
have,
we have other people that haven't paid for 3-4 years, okay?
that's true.
They haven't even made an attempt. All we're saying is, hey, come down, go down to the water authority, tell them your story, tell them what the problem is. They'll set up a payment plan. It might not be one that you like. You're not going to pay like $2 a week or something, but you set up a plan, make some attempt at it, and it was never the intent of council to shut off everybody in Erie. We're just saying you're subject to it.
But the way they're doing it,
Well, we have to, John, you can't sit there and be, we let this problem grow. You said it right the first time. Nobody had the guts. Well, finally, this council and this administration, when they saw that council was really intent upon it, has gone after the problem. We can't have $2.3 million. You know what the shortfall of budget is this year? 2.1. And what's out there being owed? 2.3. Do the math, John. I mean, I feel bad.
having surplus.
But if we could get part of that money back, that helps us a little bit. It's not going to, we're always going to have problems, okay?
Right, how much is in the surplus?
What surplus?
Your surplus money, you have money put aside.
You mean in the city budget?
Water, your water escrow amount.
We have fund balances, John.
How much is your fund balance ahead?
I would have to get a total for every account.
Well,
There's a general budget.
let's say your general budget is $5 million in surplus.
We use a lot of that surplus, John, in the beginning of the year, because what happens in the past, we used to float bonds. We called them tax anticipation notes. That meant that because we were short of money in the beginning of the year,
Got your tax money in.
we used to get a loan based on, we go to the bank, and the school district did this too for a long time.
Well, you borrow the money from the bank and pay them.
You pay them back.
And it costs more.
It's a short term. We haven't done that under this mayor, and I'm not going to bat for him. I'm just saying it's a fact.
I understand
that we haven't done it.
Look at the money that you've got out, even though there are authorities that the city has out there. You got the redevelopment authority, you got the convention center authority, you've lent all that money, you've taken taxpayers' dollars, and you stuck the taxpayer.
Well, I can't speak, once again, I'm not going to speak for other councils. There were a lot of things done stupid. I, myself, before I would have lent any money to any authority, I'd want to look at it first and see what's the benefit to us and why we have to do it, because we are liable, John, for every authority out there.
Well, sure we're liable for it.
And
Why would you want to give them the money when they become delinquent themselves?
Yeah, I can't speak for what other councils did. There's not.
That's the authority.
It wasn't good, John. It wasn't a good deal what they did. I don't agree with them. We're just now getting back some of the money from the convention authority.
Very little.
Very little, but you know what? It's a trickle. It's better than
more
nothing.
money, like $8 or $9 million for refinancing.
I'll be
and
true-
they're going to give the city a piece of bone off the hand.
I'll be truthful with you. I didn't think we'd get anything out of them.
Well,
I'm not happy with what we're getting, but
you got the Port Authority.
I agree with you. I think there's only a couple authorities that have ever given money back to us.
Well, I think these people should go out and make an arrangement and slow the income of the people coming in for the refuse and for the water bills and everything else. Make arrangements for everything and slow it down. But let's get to another subject. I was coming over 38th Street the other day, and I pay my taxes. I rake my leaves.
Yep.
From Elliott Street, Sassafras Street, Trask, Beach Avenue, you've got your high lift with the jaws going up and down, taking the leaves from these people. Now, I pay my taxes. I know they must pay theirs. Why don't I get that service up here in Southeast Erie?
You mean leaf pickup?
Yes.
They will never admit this.
I mean with the Parks Department doing it.
No, I know they're never going to admit this. You're talking about they're picking up leaves in Glenwood, right?
Well, more or less, from State Street all the way over to Elliott.
Yeah, they're not picking up in your area?
Well, they're picking up. the garbage men.
Yeah.
I got to rake it and put it in a container.
Right, and they don't.
No, they have a great big, I call it a lobster high lift, and they're picking the leaves up, and they have a truck going along.
Okay.
Now, what?
Isn't there a lot of wooded area there that's...
No.
Well,
Yeah, when you get from, what is that, 505 on over?
This is up by 505.
yeah, they claim that there's more trees up in Glenwood. I've heard this argument, and I have argued with the Public Works.
What's the difference? I pay my taxes.
Well, I agree with you, John. Those of us who live in the rest of the city, okay,
Well,
it looks like it's
Frontier Park.
it looks like it's preferential treatment.
It is.
And I'll tell you that the city the city has planted trees all over the city. When I lived on 30th and Cascade, we had trees. Okay, we got trees all over the east side. Maybe not as much as Glenwood, but you know what? I don't understand why they do that either. They'll never admit it. I think it has something to do with there's probably a little political pressure because they pay more taxes.
Baloney.
Well, that's what I think. I'm telling you, I agree with you, John. I have to bag my leaves.
My taxes on the east side are more than someone with the same house and the same land.
And I hope Public Works is listening to this because sometimes they do. Maybe they'll call down and tell me I'm wrong, and I agree with you. I think, there may be more trees up there, but hey, you know what? There's trees all over the city. And, if I have to bag, they should too.
Well, sure they should. I mean, those people are out there. They can go buy the bags and rake them.
I don't even see, very rare, I've only seen in my lifetime maybe a couple times where the street washers actually came up my street.
Yeah, they come up mine all the time blowing dust.
Because we don't have curbs up there.
There's no curb.
Yeah, we don't have curbs, so,
I mean, come on, give us a break. Start cutting back on them. Don't give them the funding. You people give them the funding. Of course, you got 6 other bobbleheads on that council. There's only one that goes sideways, and I believe that's you. The other ones, they're just bobbleheads that go up and down. But I'll get off the phone. And by the way,
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you how to run your show or whatever.
Yeah.
But don't bring up any more deals with the school district. We don't need to hear that anymore.
What deals?
When you say when you were on school board, this is how you did it.
Okay, I use that as a reference because,
Well, I understand, but still, change the reference up here. If you have a question, don't bring it about the school board. Dial the number of the person in that building and let them explain it.
okay, that's fair.
Have a great morning, afternoon.
Hey, don't eat that bad bacala no more, okay?
Oh, no, I'm not eating bacala. I'm going to eat tripe now, even though it's expensive.
I missed him on my radio show yesterday.
What's this, a panic button?
Yeah, don't hit
Yeah, don't click that button. Hey, which one?
Right here.
Oh, that's a
the
voting
doorbell.
button. That's
Yeah,
a voting
don't-
button.
Oh, where's the panic button?
There's no vote.
There's no panic button.
Oh, good.
We're on our own up here.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, quick talk before the phone rings.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
So, we're just trying to do a lot to save this station. I don't think people realize what a community asset it is. You hear this talk about community assets a lot, and we do so much for so many people for next to nothing. And for a long time, we did it for free because of the funding we got from the city. But we've obviously had to change. We were actually trying to become more self-sustaining and generate our own revenue. We have begun underwriting programs. We have begun selling programs, production of programs to people who can't make them for themselves.
Well, I was amazed, like, you have a lot of church groups that are on there.
Yeah, that wouldn't have a voice otherwise. And it's not just that, it's a lot of the nonprofits that we help, that their funds are tight too, and they can't afford to go buy big ads and this and that and get their word out. And so we're able to do it for them for next to nothing, and it helps a lot of people.
Something's wrong.
No, they're playing.
It's a one.
Do you get a lot of grumpy callers?
No, once in a while, yeah. But you know what? Like I've told DJ, I said that's part of the job.
I like it when they say, I don't want to tell you how to run your show, but...
Don't do this.
It is like my only rule is this is Taxpayer Hotline, like my predecessors did. Everything's fair game. Just try to keep it in good taste. Civil, and try not to get personal because, when you do that, people turn you off in government. You know, it's a,
What, don't get personal? Pff, I'm out.
I'll tell you,
well, I don't mean it, you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I used to come to council meetings, honestly, sometimes for entertainment. Mr. Bagnoni was here, Mr. Brabender, Mr. Casey, Mr. Thompson, and these guys, I was waiting for them to throw down. They would get mad and yell, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
yeah, they used to be kind of wild.
You guys are very tame in comparison. You're
Well,
very civilized.
I think, you know, I learned, if I talk about where I learned it from, I'll get in trouble with John. But I did learn a lot when I was, my previous government engagements.
Unspeakable.
But you learn that, you know, if you argue in a back, you know, and you go at it with each other in a civil way, you know, and sometimes between your arguments, you actually, you know, he sees your point, you see his or hers.
Compromise, yeah.
And you go out there just, you know, instead of making a big show of the public, just vote yes, vote no, get it over with, tell why, you know.
Right.
Public doesn't want to see discord and discontent up here because that tells them, you know, who's running the city. I mean,
It makes people nervous. I understand that.
I mean, it's okay to disagree. I've learned over the years that, hey, disagreement's part of it. I mean, here you got 7, where I was on before, I had 9. You know, you have different bodies have different numbers.
Right.
And the big thing is trying to convince other people, you know, sometimes you can't. You just, you know, you do your battle, hope that you get the best you can. But sometimes you're not going to win. It's a majority in this country. And, you know, people elected 7 people, you know, and no one is more important than the other one.
As you've said before, it's a new council. It's a different dynamic. It's got different people. Some people are new, some people are gone.
We're
Things
still-
could go in the opposite direction that they used to go, so don't always blame. You could blame the old councils, but it's not the old council anymore.
Right.
No,
It's a new dynamic.
I find this council to be, it's still finding itself. I mean, there's, you know, each one of us we got things we want to see, but, you know, like the garbage thing, you know, everybody was upset about that, but, you know,
That's another one, too. You can't be mad at you guys for not having teeth, and then all of a sudden, now you guys have teeth, and then you're mad about it because
Yeah.
people are not going to suffer. They're going to work out payment plans. It's going to work out for the better. The city's going to get its money. People are going to get caught up to date, and everything should be okay. Nobody's being punished.
I mean, we went at it a whole year. I mean, people, in a paper I read that, you know, nothing's going to happen, and it wasn't so. I mean, we were in negotiations that everybody had a vested interest in something. You know, I wanted to make sure the bills were separate. Other people agreed with me. You know, we didn't want people to get 2 bills once. How were we going to attack were we going to give them a chance to come out of the hole? You know, that's where we negotiated,
Yeah.
you know, a payment plan. Now, it's not going to be the $1 a week. No, that can't be that, you know. But, you know, we had a lot of problems, and nobody ever wanted to attack them for whatever reason, political or otherwise. You know, but when we're looking at shortfalls, you know, you got 2.3 million
And you
sitting
have
there.
all this money owed to you. It makes absolutely perfect sense to try and go after it.
Yeah, we're not going to get it all this year. We know that because you know what? It's a rotating number. Some people are still not going to pay their garbage bill because, you know, they'd be behind. So that number is going to float. What we want to do is kind of cut that number down slowly so that it's a smaller number and that, you know, we don't have all this backlog of old bills. But yeah, I mean, you know, I can't talk about what other councils did. They did what they did, and we're stuck with it. But I think, you know, I was surprised that we moved forward as quick as we did with the garbage. Now, that could be, you know, I'm not saying it's because of me, but, you know, I'm a new dynamic. Other people are looking at, you know, and finally the right mix of people are there that says, hey, you know what, we're going to do something. And the administration, when they see this, that, you know, council is adamant like that,
Yeah.
you know, things got done. And, you know, hopefully we'll look forward at other things. Our biggest issue is not so much expenses. We've cut the expenses. People don't believe that, but
I don't think you're cut pretty close now.
oh yeah, if you look at the budgets, they're tight. I mean, yeah, can we we can cut a person here. That's not going to do anything. When you look at where we are, it's a revenue issue. We're not collecting revenue from tax exempts. We're not collecting. A lot of people moved out of the city. Our tax base is lower, but our expenses we still have a police department. We still have a fire department. We still have a streets department that's got to be, you know, taken care of. And, you know, whether people agree with it or not, contracts were set years ago and they were done, and we have to live with those results. Right. But, you know, going forward, it's going to be a tough ride. All cities are going to have a tough ride.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you have these people come to citizens to be heard, does council, does that ever have any effect on council, or is it just a
Can't speak for other people.
politeness?
I over the years, I've dealt with many people on many boards, and I won't go into where.
Right.
Okay. But my experience tells me that some don't listen, some do. Okay. Just like, everyday people. I always tell people when they come to these council meetings, be on task.
Right.
Don't start ripping, because people go into a shell when you start ripping them. They don't want to listen to you then. Come up there and.
Randy Barnes seems to like you guys an awful lot.
He what?
He seems to like you guys an awful lot.
Well, he's there's an example of a guy that there's a lot of Randy Barnes in the world. They all have their little thing they like. I was Randy Barnes once.
Right.
When I won't go into what issues, but that was me years ago but what I tried never to do is, I tried to talk to him, off the podium. We'll get back to that. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Kaz.
Yes.
I enjoy a lot of times when you compare stuff with the school district, with your knowledge what happened over there.
Well, I try to use it only because there are some, similarities, but go ahead.
Well, that's a taxpayer thing. They're in the city of Erie. I mean, I like to hear you compare that kind of stuff. You tell that John to go down to South Pier and take a jump off.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And that's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
But, to answer your question, I like to listen to people, yes, and sometimes I will, if you watch, I'll sometimes leave up here and go down and talk to them, right, or try to catch them or call them at home, but there's some things we can't change, but some things I think we have to listen, Right. But for a lot of the times, I think most of the people that come here got problems, and they don't know where to turn.
Right.
That's part of the big problem. They don't know. And I'll try to ask them, have you gone through all the things first? Have you talked to the chief of police? Have you talked to Public Works? Have you talked to, have you gone through those process?
Right.
And then if all that's been exhausted, that's kind of what our job is, And as you go around town, a lot of people won't call up in the show, but they will grab me at the grocery store or something, and that's okay,
Yeah.
But I'd like to think that most people do listen to the taxpayers. I'd like to think that. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
But I guess my bigger question is, does it affect your decision at all? If you have 40 people that come in here and say,
Yeah.
I want you to do things this way.
At a public hearing, it hasn't changed my mind. Go ahead, caller.
They tell that guy go down to South Pier, but it's gated.
Oh, okay.
Hey, how are we making out with the bridge?
The bridge?
Viaduct, is that ready to go down the tubes?
Well, my vote was, what do you call it? It was a Pyrrhic vote, a Pyrrhic victory.
Yeah.
Look that up, that's a new one for you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's just I made my vote. I thought, I don't think the people were treated properly with the decision. But to me, I think the decision's made now. I mean, it's all
Well,
but.
sure, the decision is made, but,
Yeah.
they should have looked after this a long time ago.
I agree with you. I think my comment was when they first built the highway,
They should have put in,
they didn't put an interchange there. For what reason?
yes, sort of like a roundabout, huh?
Well, I mean, when they talked about, if you go, John, you go back like I do, and you remember when they were talking about an 18th Street interchange there?
Yes,
There's an exit, but not an entrance.
true.
So why didn't they do that? As a novice, I mean, I wasn't there at the meetings, but to me it looks like.
Front Highway and they murdered all the businesses down there.
And to me it looks like, well, you already had McBride Viaduct, so why do we need to build an interchange, right?
It's true.
And yeah, you're right. You go down, what do you call it, East Avenue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a ghost town.
Well, you go East Avenue, the lumber cart company down there, all that, between the National Fuel and all that, that's the only thing going down there that's making anything. Cope's Balkan, and they're on a dead end, really.
Hey, I keep saying, if this is Pittsburgh, you got a 7th Street Bridge, a 9th Street Bridge, a Roberto Clemente Bridge.
Bridges in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we don't have the political power. I made a comment once. This would have never happened, in the old days.
No.
It would not have happened because we had political power and will, And I think there was, there were people politically willing to help us, but not all the bodies could get together and agree.
Oh, it's the old east side, west side deal still.
And I think that, that bridge, even though, people say it's only 300 yards apart, it is at what I call the apex where they meet. But if you go back and you take like if you live on a certain part of the east side, whether you took the Bayfront Highway or you took the McBride Viaduct, depending on where you were. So they both had relevance, but nobody could see it. All they kept looking at was, they meet and they're only 300 yards apart.
Look, if they took the Franklin Avenue bridge down.
How about that one? That's going to be a project in the future.
That little one over 21st Street, over 21st and what is it, Ash there?
Well, Franklin Avenue's still up. We're going to have to...
I mean, but the other one, if you're going over 21st Street, before you get to the bridge that has the Tullio plaque that's missing.
I wonder what that is.
By East Avenue. When you're coming down from 26th and East Avenue, you come on down and you come right into the dead end there, you either turn right or left?
Yeah, I think, that was built, that's the one that goes over the highway, right?
Yes. So what happens if you take that one out? It could have been the same situation.
What are we going to do at Franklin Avenue in the future going forward?
That's the whole thing here. They don't want people to use the Bayfront Highway anymore. That was supposed to be a 4-laner going through there. Now they want everybody to use 12th Street again.
It seems like like I said, if I live long enough, I've seen 4 transformations at State Street.
Right, I remember that.
And 3 transformations.
Oh, they went all the way back when they made the mall down there.
And 3 at 12th Street, so, you know what, hang on tight, because, what changes...
The Transitway Mall. I haven't thought of that in a while.
Julio got that in because he wanted to keep the guys up on 18th and State happy, the Union Hall. All the merchants down there did not want that.
That's true. They wanted like Minneapolis, but...
Yes. Well, it's just like backing your cars in down there on the Park Road there on a 45-degree angle.
I don't agree with that. To me, that was...
Here do you put the money in? They're not specified. You back up, there's 2 meters. Which one do you put yours in?
I don't go into that. I don't back up into that thing. I refuse.
There in a long time. I go down and park in Dewey's parking lot. It's easier. Or if I got business in City Hall, I go back there and park. And 9 times out of 10, I can't do that because all the police cars are parking in that lot that's supposed to be for the citizens.
Yes, that's another problem.
Okay, I'll get off. But tell that guy I can't go do that because it's gated and I can't jump off the South Pier.
We'll get it ungated for you, okay?
Yeah. Hey, did you look into those things I asked you about?
Which ones?
I'll talk to you off the air.
Yeah, because there's a lot of them. I got a lot of notes in my house.
Yeah. Maybe you need a secretary.
I never had one. I always had,
I know you had.
I mean, I had people, like everybody thinks we have secretaries at City Hall. We don't. We have people that all have jobs,
Well, at least my son will be watching this. He'll look on the computer. At least I can say happy birthday to my grandson, John the 3rd. So have a great day.
You too.
Okay, now I have another question.
Yeah.
I've been following this McBride Viaduct. Now, my understanding, didn't this architect, Adam Trott, come up with some proposal where what they would want to do would be cheaper than an actual demolition?
There was never any numbers, but, concrete numbers, but they wanted to take the bridge and make it would have been no traffic over.
Right, a pedestrian.
Pedestrian or light, what I call...
Light traffic.
Bicycles.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's being used as that right now.
Yeah, that's what they wanted to do. Or at the very least, they wanted us to leave the pillars up.
Right.
So they could rebuild the bridge surface at a future date.
And that's not viable?
It doesn't look like, I don't know if they'll get any traction with it. They've pushed it, but, they haven't, no proposals come to council yet,
Really?
But
I thought there was.
They wanted to make it kind of like in other towns they did it.
Yeah. I've seen the designs that they've put out. They just call it a pedestrian walkway. They want to put art there and
park.
Yeah, and even they would want to make a little park up there.
To the people on the east side, though, they want the cars back, and that's not going to probably happen.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, there's never going to be car traffic over it, but I mean, couldn't it still be used instead of,
Hypothetically, yeah, it could be. Finding the funds and everything would be,
the problem?
yeah. And who's going to,
Well, if you have to tear it down, who's going to pay for that?
that's what we're arguing about now, is the Commonwealth and the federal government are willing to fund part of this project to the degree that about 90-some% of it, I do believe, I think that was the number, is going to be paid for by them.
Only if it's demolished.
Well, see, that was where the argument was. They had, the city and the state got together and did a series of, this is where the argument started. They did a series of recommendations.
Right.
And recommendations, everything from rebuilding it entirely, remodeling it,
Right. I saw
tearing
there
it
was a
down.
bunch of them, yeah.
And so the preferred method they decided on was to tear it down and build the interchange.
But is the preferred method the cheapest method? I mean,
It's the one that I believe, they say it is. There's arguments, pro and con. They had a citizens committee, but they said that was the best and most efficient use of funds, was to tear the bridge down and to build the 18th Street access that they're going to do.
I would think if you kept it and turned it into a park, you'd get some sort of a grant.
But they're saying that, the state never countered with that. It had to be rebuilt, that, the amount of money that would have to go into rebuilding it. And this is where the argument started, was that the people that are on this committee, the Citizens Committee, that there was appointed with people like Father Jerry and all them, they don't feel like they were in on the decision.
Father Jerry doesn't like the whole transitway and walkway thing. He wants his cars back, and
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
No, and the problem was, this is where, I was not a councilman then. There were a couple of our councilmen on that committee. I would have liked to see, I always smell, there's no saying if you're in the middle of a cheese factory and you think you smell a mouse, you're probably right.
Right?
So, I mean, if that's what happened, if the committee wasn't part of it, then I think there was a wrong done, The whole purpose of committees are to sit there and say, even though you maybe have to say, you know what, we have to tear it down. If the committee decides that,
Right.
that's
At least
okay.
have some input.
But nobody knows who really made the decision. And see, that's where the argument is now, that, the committee feels like they were there, but they weren't there for the final decision. And who made the decision?
Right.
Was it the administration? Was it the state? But now that we sent in all the paperwork and we said, we agreed with the recommendation, now the money is earmarked. If you don't take it, you're on your own.
Right.
This is why, we're hanging out here now. I mean, you don't have much, what are you going to do?
Right.
It's rotten. I mean, that's why when I voted no because I don't think the committee was, from what I understand, and nobody's told me otherwise, I don't think they were part of the final decision.
Is there a lack of transparency in decisions like this?
There's a lot of times in committees, and, what happens is, committees are formed, but this is what, they actually want more transparency in government. They're doing that now with how we do our balance sheets, how we do our budgets. They want more transparency.
Right.
So that the average Joe public doesn't have to go searching, hard to find the truth. But yeah, a lot of things are done when you get in these committees. There's behind the scenes stuff all the time, and
I feel like that's what a lot of people got their noses bent about with changing the bus routes, because,
there's a
EMTA,
prime example.
they
now.
made their own decision without any input from anyone, and they just decided arbitrarily, we're just going to change this.
And that was sad, and I was here at council one night when there were a lot of people that were here speaking, and
Yeah.
they were upset. And I heard you guys and Ms. Hurry Kuko say a number of times, well, there's nothing we can do. It's out of our hands. I mean, you really couldn't do anything about that
Yeah,
decision,
it was their decision because they're independent, right? They can make their own
Well,
decisions.
council, I think, I wasn't on council then, and I'm still learning the ropes, but I think if we allow them access to roads, I think we can control those roads.
You'd think.
So, it's council that would say, yeah, we're giving you permission now to change your, because, you remember little things like you probably don't remember this, but there was a guy that had a rickshaw.
I
Erie
remember
Rickshaw,
that.
I met him, yes.
Yeah, he didn't meet the criteria. He didn't have
Yeah.
the liability insurance, as I understand it. Like I say, I'm only getting this secondhand, but
Yeah.
he's gone now, right?
Yeah, right.
So we do have the ability as a council to say who's going, just like we do with the cable.
Right.
You know, who can string cable in the city,
Yeah.
who can put where the vehicles are on State Street, you know, what, you know, the permission to put bus stops. And I think that decision, you know, we haven't seen it yet. If we have a couple of bad winters when these, you know, to some of the people that are legally blind, physically challenged, you know, there are still problems with that.
So if you guys want to force the issue, you could, but right now,
We could have, I
there's no
think.
point in opening that can of worms right now.
You know,
because
I
it might be better.
I laugh when they say traffic moves better.
Yeah.
I get stuck behind more beer trucks now than I ever did.
Right?
So I mean, what has changed?
Right.
They're not yellow no more, or they're not EMTA. Now I'm getting behind beer trucks.
Right.
So I mean, you know, I just think it was a bad decision. And nobody was ever told the real reason why. I mean, yeah, they came up with the study and everything, but, you know.
I heard they didn't even communicate with their liaison. I mean, nobody here knew it was going to happen because they just said, let's do it, and it got happened.
I've been to a lot of cities, and I haven't
Done.
seen too many that don't have the buses on their main street or, you know, outside of maybe
Yeah.
New York where you got Times Square. But
Sure.
cities our size, most of them, you know, try to promote the,
The main thoroughfare.
Yeah. because, you know, you go on French Street and you get a show going on at the Warner, you got trouble. You got trucks parked on the street, you got buses parked on the street.
Right.
You're down to one lane.
You're scrimping.
I've been out on the streets at night when events have been going on at, you know, Jarriott Park and the
The Warner.
Warner and what's the new hockey place
Erie
called?
Insurance.
Erie Insurance Arena. When they all had events, and I'm trying to get up French Street, and I'm just like, there's buses and trucks and people and cars and walking people.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was very difficult to just.
Yeah,
get
putting
through.
buses there was another,
It was tough.
Yeah, wait till it starts snowing again.
yeah, there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
poor, as my former councilman used to say, Jimmy Thompson, prior planning prevents, you know, these problems. I forgot he worded it entirely, but
PPP,
I
prior.
think he probably said it as nicely as
PPP,
that.
probably PPPP, prior planning prevents problems, maybe?
Something like that,
The
but-
the 4 Ps?
But he was always, you know, it just, yeah, it's one of those things that, like the bridge, and, you know, people, they really feel, and it's sad, but they do feel like you brought up, when they come to that podium, where is anybody listening, or,
Which leads to what I was going to talk about. We have a TV station for stuff like that. If you come here and you feel like they're just not listening, you could do a whole TV show about it.
We could do
Yes,
it.
I'm talking to you.
We can do anything.
So
well, I
if-
think, you know, that's why, you know, when Mario started this and Jimmy Thompson kept it up,
Yeah,
you know, I've never scrimped, you know, whatever they want to talk about, they talk about.
yeah.
And I don't worry about, I try not to worry about the next election or anything, because it is what it is, but
Yeah.
I think, you know, the public does have to have their little, you know, they do, at the end of the day, they are the ones that pay the bills.
You know, I'm going to tell you something funny. It's just a personal note. I speak to a lot of people. I've spoken before large groups. I've even tried to do stand-up in a crowded restaurant, and I'm always fine with that. But when I have to get up here and
Yeah.
stand at that podium, and you guys are up here looking down at me, and part of it is because I'm usually, if I have to stand there, it's because I've got something important that I really care about, and I'm just nervous as a cat. It's terrible.
It's psychological. I mean, when people are above you, that's psychological. You're thinking that you're being looked down upon. And I know that's not the way.
That's why a lot of people won't come here. They'll get you in the grocery store, you know.
Yeah, it's
They'll
just
grab you at
difficult.
the local restaurant or
Yeah.
something, and that's okay, you know.
I understand, but psychologically, it's just one of those things where people are looking down on you, and that's how it feels.
Well, I think, you know, I think you're right, you know.
Well, and part of it in my case is the last couple of years, the last few times I've been here, I'm coming here with my hat in my hand saying, please don't kill my station. It's a vital asset to this community. And you guys kind of look like, yeah, thanks, we'll let you know. And it's kind of trying. It's stressful to us.
Yeah, just,
And I'm just curious, you know, the city gets this 5%, and my understanding was that it was to offset expenses that the city might incur with the cable, what expenses are you guys incurring? There's none. From putting the lines in place, is there?
I'm not sure. As far as I know, the lines have been in place.
Right.
They're in
There
place.
was an
Any
original-
maintenance on the lines is done by Time Warner.
Right.
So,
The whole issue with cable is like, and when we first started, there was discounts for seniors and all, that's all gone now.
Right.
yeah, they've changed.
Cable's got so big that even we in government have no control over them. They've morphed into something that's bigger than life now.
Well, you're still getting 5% of those revenues, and I think it's funny. I mean, I don't want to argue semantics
Yeah.
now, but the mayor calls it taxpayer dollars. I call it private sector dollars because that money came from Time Warner subscribers, and we used to be guaranteed a certain a very, very small piece of it, and it was enough to keep us going. And now we have to come hat in hand every year and say, please, and we're not even asking for ourselves. We're in business to help everyone else in this community. That's why it's called community access television. You want to add anything to that?
Don't put me on the spot.
I have a little radio show, and I'm surprised, how many people, they listen again, and,
Right.
and they have,
I listen again.
they have the religious show that's on, and, there's
Dave's
a,
Cookies,
there's
one
a
of my
church.
favorites.
There's a church group there that has their live mass on,
Right.
There are a lot of shut-ins in the community that,
Super Soul Saturday.
but then they also have the first, I'm trying to think of the name of the church. They have their actual service on there too,
Right.
for an hour, and that's, but I told DJ, I was, after the parade, that last parade, I was surprised. I went to a couple places in Erie, organizations, social clubs, that had they had the parade on TV, and I was surprised,
Yeah, the Perry 200.
Yeah.
We were live during that. That was really a special event for us. It was nice. It's nice that we have that capability to do that.
I just feel like, the kids now with the new media are destroying our perception of everything. Our newspapers are in trouble,
Yeah.
and
Television, newspapers,
Television,
print
yeah.
media
Well,
in
that's
general.
why we're trying to stay with the times. I mean, our channel streams live online.
We're on the internet.
Worldwide.
So are you.
Honestly, I mean,
you're
people.
watching me in Poland?
They're
If you
watching
have
in
people
Cleveland right
in
now.
Cleveland, Poland, New Hampshire, Rwanda, you name it, if they can tune us in, they can find our link and
Yeah.
they can watch us.
That's right.
And that's how some of the kids are watching us now. Some kids don't even watch TV anymore. They watch everything on Netflix or Hulu.
Yeah.
But there's still a large population that depends on television for their news and information.
That's right. Your biggest
And
fan in
entertainment.
Cleveland right now is watching. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Oh, you're a friend out there?
Yeah, yeah. One of our cat producers, he actually is in Cleveland, and he watches every time I'm on, at least.
Tell him to bring King James on my show.
King, oh, please. No, don't even mention LeBron. I don't want to hear that. King James.
That'll get some viewership, huh?
I guess. You guys love him, then you hate him, then you love him again. I mean, make up your mind. King James.
He plays lacrosse, right? I've heard of
No.
him, right? He's
Yeah.
a lacrosse player.
I think it's varsity
Varsity
or
soccer,
something.
girls varsity soccer, yeah.
So what do you think about the bridge?
I think that it would be better if it was able to be saved in some fashion. I think it would be beneficial to the community. I think it would be beneficial to shops and business on East Avenue. What happens if you tear it down? You've just got this big gaping hole in this East Avenue dead ends at the railroad tracks.
I'd love to see a park. I mean, I've seen it done in like New York, larger cities.
Our biggest problem right now, as you look at, we have to get more people, this is not easy.
Involved.
We have to get people involved, moving back into the city slowly.
Yeah.
We have to get businesses to actually want to come here again, not just the occasional, I applaud people like Tim Hortons, who, but we need a lot more.
Right.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, you're on.
Turn down your TV.
Hello?
If you're available.
Tonight?
There's a meeting tonight, 7 o'clock, if you're available.
Yeah, I have it marked down.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. We have our neighborhood watch meeting.
Right. St. Mary's or something?
No, we're up there around Mercyhurst area.
Mercyhurst, okay. What I think about the bridge is you got to get a unified front. You got to get everybody that's going off in 10 different directions. I want it for a footbridge. I want it for a park. I want it for this. You need to convince these people it's never going to be a traffic bridge again. Take your energies and direct them to at least keeping the bridge for foot traffic and maybe putting something
It's a shame that we never, we do all these studies, but we never really come up with a plan, you know.
You're as big on studies.
Well, the big problem is people just the normal everyday citizens don't really seem to get involved like they did in years past.
I think people, and I hate to say this, it kind of goes to your point about what you brought up earlier. And I have made comments on that I think people have given up. They see that, they either feel that, well, look at the voting.
Yeah, I see it. I work the polls every time.
They just feel like it doesn't matter, that nobody's listening to them. And in a way, I guess you can't blame them, because government has, it seems like they're always doing things that nobody's aware of. They seem to forget. Not all the smart people in the world, the engineers, the architects, the politicians, they don't always make the right decision. Sometimes some of your best ideas come from the people that the everyday people.
Right.
When I was in the service, I found out that if you want to know how something was going to be done, you go down to the lowest level, and they'll tell you how to do it better.
Yeah.
Because most people are either lazy or want to get it done quicker.
Right.
They'll come up with a way that saves time. Even though all the studies tell you to do it the other way. Your average, hate going back to school district, but same thing with teachers. They teach in the classroom. We should be talking to our employees and then to the public to see how it's really being, done out in at the ground root level. And I just think people over the years, I think they feel like there's nothing. There's not. Here's a bad sign. 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's just like I think a lot of people feel like their voice doesn't count, and that's bad.
It is. And it's hurting us as a society when enough people don't get involved. I mean, you see it in the voting, that there's maybe 20, 30, 40%. They get a 50% turnout, and they think they're doing great.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And it's 50
that's just not right.
But that's only 50% of those registered.
Right, that's right. That's not even the ones that didn't even bother to register to vote.
Yeah.
And but I remember in years past that people would get involved in different projects, whether it was the bridge or this or that. And the parade of the century, everybody turned out. We had a big civic event.
Yeah.
This was in '95. This wasn't the Perry 200. This was our original.
Yeah.
You see it when big issues come. But I think they've been slammed over the years. When I was a kid, it was fluoride. That was a big issue.
Right.
Then we went through fluoride again years later. And then we had, school closings. We had controversies there in the school district. Then we had controversies in the city with different. And I think people, when they don't get a victory ever,
Right.
they don't seem like, nothing. Nobody's listened to them.
I remember that fluoride lady. What's her name? Ann something? She was dead set against fluoride in the city of Erie.
Well, when I was a kid, they had a bigger battle. Way back in the 50s, or when I was young, they had little pins made, pro-fluoride, anti-fluoride. People were all they voted against it then. But then it came back again. The issue resurfaced. And I know what you're talking about.
This was about 20 years ago, and the lady didn't want the fluoride in the water, and it was poison, and it was going to kill us all.
Yeah, this battle's been going on for years, but when people feel like their voice is not there, for whatever issue, you look at them all, Academy, you look at the McBride Viaduct, people are protesting, and they feel like, what good is it? Nobody listened, and
Well, that Academy thing turned around okay because they closed it and everybody was mad, but apparently it wasn't in such bad shape after all because it's in use now.
But in the meantime, you destroyed, 2 high schools and you changed the whole concept of each one. But when people get frustrated like that, and McBride was the last one where, they are out there with signs and they're getting involved. They just, people feel like they're disconnected from government.
You should fix that. You try.
It's hard. I mean, I tell people not to give up because, the power is in the people, it really is.
Right.
And they have to show that power at the voting booth, or, they have to really be vocal. Every once in a while you see them, like out in Mill Creek, you had a group of people that stopped a new school, right or wrong. I mean, but that was public pressure. You can do it, but you have to really be on task. You can't give up.
Did we not stop the tire plant? Was that not public outcry? I'm pretty sure that was, everybody stood up and said, we don't want it for better or for worse, because some people will come back and complain and say, oh, we don't have jobs from it. But
yeah.
I think it was for worse. Everybody seemed to think that it was poison and for worse. Everybody stood up. I would consider that a victory. So there have been victories.
Hey, the young people the young people are worried about it. They don't vote and they don't get out, My generation was a little bit more active, but then they gave up too.
It's called apathy.
Yeah, and you got to quit that, because you know what? You have the power to put people in these seats.
Yeah.
And you have the power to change things if you want it,
And we have the power to put them on the air, to share their opinions and views with the entire city, state, nation, and world.
What a plug.
So, I got to get it in there. I know we're out of time.
He's going to run us out pretty soon, but...
Yeah, we got a couple.
Yeah, anything you want to cap off, DJ? Or?
No, I was just going to say, I have no real closing statements, except thanks for having us on.
Well, I always appreciate it. This is an open forum, I think people like to hear, hopefully, there'll be
people
some...
can call in, they can, give opinions and yell if they want, but...
I think if you want transparency, you have to have and I had my arguments with the press, but you have to have a free press, a free TV, free media,
Yeah. Yep, and that's what we are. We have it at Cat TV. You have it here. People can call in.
I'm not a fan of what do you call blog sites.
Oh, no.
I like,
I don't like social media at all. I'm really tired of Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff.
I want to know who's, if you got a problem with me, I want to know who you are.
Yep. I know who you are. You're Kaz, and this has been Taxpayer Hotline.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us today with our lovely friend, Louis Press.
Thanks for having me, Kaz.
Yep. Keep that music up.
I will.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
When I first heard that music, I said, wow, these kids are great.
Yeah. They're great. They're just kids. They look like 16 little kids.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie Zone Government Access, Channel 9.